Welcome to Blue Monday in Ipswich Town podcast for the Rewind show, where we look forward to looking back at some of the last times we played this weekend's upcoming opponents. Hello, my name is Craig Finmo, and as previously advised, this is the Rewind show, where we look at the last time that we played our opponents this upcoming weekend and more matches from the not-so-distant past. As ever, joining me for your weekly build-up with shows on Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday. And here he is, Mr. David Diamond. How are you, Dave? It's been a couple of weeks to stew on West Ham, unfortunately.
It was a bit of a painful one to take, that one. I obviously covered it in the Flagship show last week. But yeah, after the sort of high of the Villa performance, which was great, particularly second half, I think we all pretty much was going to West Ham. We were on a bit of a downer themselves. With fairly high hopes and a bit of confidence, weren't we, I think? And then all went wrong from minute one, really. Well, I say it all went wrong from minute one. Yeah, we shot ourselves in the foot in minute one, then rectified it, obviously, very much so, with a goal from with a great goal from Delap, and then shot ourselves in the foot again.
Ran out of feet to shoot.
Just before and just after half time. Yeah, it was the timing of the goals, I think, really, and yeah, overall slightly disappointed. A bit of a wake up goal, I think, after the four well earned draws on the trot, and a great performance against Villa, better than good, I think. It was a bit of a shock, that short, sharp shock, hopefully.
Well, the guys will go through the upcoming weekend against Everton on Thursday in the pre-match. So yeah, look forward to that. Stick it in your diaries. But luckily for everybody, we've had another international break to give us yet another fortnight off, and we're only in middle of October. And unlike John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John, that Greece match, Dave, wasn't the one that we wanted, was it?
Oh, come on. A round of applause for that. Oh, mate, it was awful. Oh, fair play to Carsley. I mean, honestly, he's getting slagged terribly, but love to see it. Talk about gung-ho. Holy crap. Let's play them all. Yeah. Let's just play them all.
It was gung-ho without actually producing a gung-ho performance, wasn't it?
It was gung-ho without the gung, wasn't it? It was odd, wasn't it? It's just very, very. I know we're not really talking about it. Very, very disjointed and very all a bit muddled and confused, really, wasn't it? I mean, I applauded him when I saw the side. I watched it start with my son. I thought, "Holy crap, here we go!" But no, and playing without a recognised number 9, it didn't really work, did it? Unfortunately, Greeks I thought were good. Greeks were solid, weren't they? Functional, solid. Particularly they were without their star striker, who was obviously on our radar back in the summer. But in the end, they sort of thoroughly deserved it. But I mean, the winning goal summed it up. I was like something like Benny Hill, the winning goal, wasn't it? Oh my god!
Yeah. Anyway, but we return like a bad penny. We return to talk about another good, solid football club, like Aston Villa recently. Good old solid club, old solid ground. Then we had West Ham in the middle, but now we get to talk about Everton. As ever, as we always say, if you were at any of these games, please do drop us a comment, and we always take a look at them. So especially if you were there in the flesh, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, etc., etc. You know the drill. Now, we haven't played Everton for over 22 years. We haven't played them at home for 23 years. To this very day that Dave and I are recording this particular pod.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
the 13th October, which was Saturday, the 13th of October, 2001. Long time, Dave. But we're back to the Carling Premiership, and as ever, we look at what was number 1 in the charts. Okay, so 2001, October 2001, there was. I can do a dance for you, but I'm not going to.
No, don't do
so the video was memorable for a particular dance, and there was a lot of tit tape used in the video.
I have no idea. Go on.
And the lady in question was wearing her, what looked like her mum's bed linen, and there was some strategically placed tit tape to stop the bed linen flopping around.
Madonna. I've no idea.
No, I could do a bit of a dance.
Oh,
No?
Kylie. That's
There you
Kylie, isn't
go.
it?
Yes, it is Kylie.
Just for the dance. I mean, obviously, I assume it's I can't get you out of my head. I assume
it was.
There you go. Dance. I would never have got it, but the dance gave it away. Very good.
Thank you. Written by Kathy Dennis.
Yes.
Who wrote a few, did she? Actually, she had her own little.
She did.
Condescending. Had her own pop career, and then
she did. Yeah.
Got more
Very
fame
talented.
and fortune, I think, from writing the songs, didn't she?
Mm.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Let's pop into this. Let's look at the table before we played. And as you can see here, we are, as we tend to do once we play these. This is our relegation season. Very often, the last time we played these teams in the top division. So we are languishing a little bit towards the bottom end of the table, shall we say? 5 points after 7 games, only 1 win. 11 goals conceded and only 6 scored. So, yeah, we hadn't got off to a fantastic start, had we, Dave, that season?
No, I think we were just really sort of looking back on this game. 6, I think, is our ultimately, I think our sixth game without a win. I think alarm bells were ringing. I think we'd had three draws, 3 defeats. I think it was our 8th game in the season. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an odd, wasn't it? Because we it was odd that season. I mean, obviously we've covered it slightly before. That's such the disparity between all those games around Christmas and the New Year, where we'd probably be the form side in the league. And we started. I think we started with a defeat, didn't we? Then we had the great that stupid Fanidi George game, and it just all kind of went wrong after that, really, didn't it? It was really odd.
Yeah. It's quite interesting, actually. We'll get to the match itself in a sec. And you say about alarm bells are ringing, and reading the match report, and I will touch on it when we go through the match. They were ringing in the match reports even in the middle of October. And you think, well, hang on, the season that we've just had, it must have been such a startling start to the season, having just finished 5th in the Premiership, to start that season, to already 6-7 games in, to start thinking, well, hang on, something's going wrong here very, very quickly.
I remember the catalyst for all this. Do you remember this? Was the Charlton game, which was the second, maybe, home game. It might have been the home game after that great derby, the Fanidi George. Let's call it the Fanidi George game against Derby, where I'm pretty much thinking about that game. We absolutely dominated, hit the post, just did everything but score, and then Lisby scores an absolute worldie on about 8 in the very, very late in the game from wide. A brilliant goal. Never did it. And he's with us.
Best thing he ever did at Portman Road. Sadly.
Well, absolutely. And I think everyone at that point, and then we never quite almost seemed to recover from that. It was quite really odd.
Yeah. Cover star of the week. Okay, we'll give you some clues here, Dave. He's a current manager of a top tier European club. This gentleman played for this team. This club had previous players such as David James and David Moyes played for them, as well as 2 former Ipswich Town players. And if I give you the one, well, I'll give you both the players, but that will give away the bloke and the country that it's in. It's not the most obvious European country, footballing country, shall we say?
Oh, go on, I'm done. Go on. Not the most obvious European football. Oh, I've no idea. Go on. Oh, Herman Hreiderson. Look at him. What magnificent. Look at him. Look at him.
Herman Hreiderson. He is current manager of IBV in Iceland, obviously.
Yeah.
And Ivar Ingemarsen and Herman both played for them previously, as I say, as well as David Moyes.
To go back to that graphic, do you remember those? Do you remember that? I can remember collecting those from my son in a binder
thing.
Yeah, binder thing. Yeah, not half a dozen maybe came out. I think.
Yeah,
I can't remember, but they were always quite a good read. Back
a glossy periodical.
That's right, glossy periodical. Wonder, how and just an observation of that. I mean, Herman was obviously quite big and quite buff, and I mean, how baggy is that shirt? It's like Jack Clark's shorts. Look at it.
It's like wearing one of those parachutes on your back. running with one of those. Not exactly skin tight.
Cool, Herman would look good in those shirts today. He would look good in those shirts today. But look at that one. Bloody hell.
Yeah,
classic. Nice shirt. Always classic shirt though. That one.
Long sleeves always look better, I think.
Oh, definitely.
I'm a bit of a long sleeve fan. And actually, while we're here, we're talking about Herman. Look, this is him now. And
still looks good, doesn't he?
He's not a bad-looking fella, is he?
No, he still looks good, doesn't he? Yeah, it looks like he's lost a bit of weight, Herman, there, but yeah, looks good still. There
is definitely something. We've spoken about it before. There's definitely something in this George Burley team regarding the Alexia review. If you think you've got Martin Reusser and Matt Holland, also
Peter Pan. They're all Peter Pan.
If we'd have had like a couple of appearances for them, we may have suffered some sort of afterglow of
absolutely what it is. Yeah.
Fantastic. Right. Unfortunately for us, this is a 0-0, so we're not going to spend too much time on this, but we will go through the lineups, as we tend to do. Here's the Ipswich lineup. You can, pretty much name this. This is our well-noted relegation team, really, apart from Finidi not being there. Jermaine Wright's playing in his place. Martin Reusser's on the left. But yeah, that's the team that
that was pretty much it. I mean, this is what we said perhaps on previous shows. Premier League. Just there weren't back then. 20 odd years ago, there just wasn't the same transfer movements or the volume of transfer movements as there are today. Nowhere near. Look at it. That side would have played the season, other than Serini, would have played the season before, wouldn't it? Yeah, it would.
Yeah, Armstrong in there at the top, but yeah. And here's Walter Smith's Everton, and this is a quite a bit of a, I don't know, mishmash, probably not the right word, but you got some good old British players, Watson and Pembridge in the middle there, and obviously that's a rather tasty looking forward line there. You're not going to get much.
I was going to say robust. That's a robust forward line, that isn't it? Bless Kevin Campbell, who obviously recently sadly passed away, and big dunk, isn't it? Obviously,
I think. Absolutely.
No centre half like facing him. Others we've got in there. Xavier's quite an interesting one. So obviously in between the 13th of October and what? Early February, he obviously made the move across.
We spoke about him before, that's
across
right.
Stanley Park, didn't he? Yeah, never realised he played in this one. Pistone, Newcastle, was Newcastle. Gerrard with us for a bit.
I think he was, wasn't he? Was he either on loan or a short-term contract towards the end of his career?
Yeah, I believe he was. Who else you got there? Mark Pembridge, Welsh international, Rydzinski. So a solid enough Everton side that obviously was still good enough to keep them up.
Yeah,
they have done for the last 40. No, last 40. That's a bit disrespectful. Probably 20 years, probably.
And funny, Abel Xavier we're talking about there. We're going to quickly go through 3 games today, and all 3 Everton lineups feature at least one player who's played for both Liverpool and Everton.
There you go.
Try and spot them. I don't think only one of them went directly from one to the other, which didn't happen very often at all.
No, it didn't.
A couple of them. What Xavier must have done? Did he go straight from Everton?
He must have done, because that's months, isn't it? If he's playing for Everton in October, he's playing for Liverpool in Feb. Yeah, well, he scored, didn't he? Yeah.
Okay, there you go. So just into this game, Matteo Serini just been voted Player of the Month by TWTD readers for September. So that may also give an indication of how well we were doing when your goalkeeper's winning the Player of the Month in September. We were
slightly under the cosh, probably. Yeah.
And as I said before, in terms of the match itself, all the match reports you find were about fans having to endure a classic 0-0. During the course of the match, Everton took off 2 midfielders and replaced them with 2 defenders. Alan Stubbs and David Unsworth came on during the game to reinforce what was already
shore up.
Yes, quite.
I must admit, I went to the game. I think I pretty much went to all those home games in those 2 Premier, definitely in those 2. Well, probably after that, in those 2 Premier seasons. And this game doesn't resonate with me, unsurprisingly, at all. It didn't at all, really.
No. So Phil, TWTD, a below par performance, increasing desperation and frustration. At the back, there are still severe worries, despite the first clean sheet of the season. So,
that's the point. Yeah,
as we said, 13th of October, and on the back of a 5th position finish the previous season, we're already now really concerned.
Which is odd, wasn't it?
8 games into the following season.
Yeah, I said it's odd, really odd. Yeah. And spoiler alert, as we'll no doubt cover in upcoming days and games, hopefully. But it wasn't really going to improve at all for another, where are we, 2 months, was it?
No. So after the event, this is what the table looked like. It did actually creep us up a position, I think. It did, just above Southampton, but they had a game in hand. But yeah, not too much movement going on there. Leeds started off well at 18 points, hadn't lost a game so far.
Crikey, look at that,
3 goals conceded in their first 8 games. So.
Wow. Yeah, no, it's Villa up there again. That's interesting. Liverpool, well, obviously Liverpool hadn't. Crikey, who had Man United played? Look at how many goals they've scored.
25 goals in 8 games.
Yeah, conceded a few as well. But yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good going. But yeah, I still look back on that season. There was just so many things. Everything that was the season where everything that could go wrong went wrong in that season. Injuries to obviously Stewart, and always conjecture surrounding what that was about and stuff. And just everything around that season that could have gone wrong just went wrong, didn't it? Really bizarre. You just couldn't get it back. We couldn't get the train back on the rails, if you like. Well, we did, but that's the thing. We did, didn't we? Though, but you win 8 games out of 9, and I know we spoke about it. I think,
but it didn't get you anywhere, did it? Unfortunately,
no. No.
Position-wise, it did, but points-wise, it never really got us.
Not totally safe. No. But all it needed, really, when you look at then the run-in after those games post January, I guess it was, wasn't it? All you needed was no. I think we said before, you needed to switch one of the Bolton did the double on over us, switch one of those results, and we stay out. It was very, very fine lines that season. But like I said, it was a season in 3 very dramatic parts, wasn't it? Unfortunately, 2 really crap ones.
Super. Well, thank you for that, Dave. That's number 1. Done and dusted. And 0-0. We got as much as we could out of that. A quick word from our friends at Atwell's, and we'll be back to the 90s.
Blue Monday is proudly brought to you in partnership with our friends at Atwell Solicitors, your ideal legal partner for work on property or business law. Their client care has repeatedly been recognised as outstanding, and they are people-focused with a plain English approach which sets them apart. They have offices in Ipswich, Colchester and London, and to find out more, head to atwells.com.
Right, we are now November the 28th, 1992. I think I passed my driving test a week before.
There we go.
17 years old, and I passed it. I know I passed it in November the 20-something, I think it was. Anyway, that's by the by. It's got very little to do, if anything, to do with this.
Well, has it? Did you drive yourself there?
Very unlikely. My father would have allowed me to drive him to Ipswich a week after passing my.
Okay.
Up and down the A12.
Yeah.
So in terms of the Everton team, it's Howard Kendall's Everton team, and yes, you'd have done exactly the same thing as me here, Dave. This is his second of 3 different spells with Everton. Now, his first spell that everyone would know, the championship winning,
brilliant side,
cup winning, European Cup Winners' Cup winning team.
Yeah.
He left them. Actually, reading into it, because of the European ban on English clubs, because Everton, correct, couldn't get into Europe, so he was a bit annoyed by that. So he moved to Athletic Bilbao. And then to Man City, and was linked to various big jobs at Man U, England, etc. But then came back to Everton in 1990, which is this period we've got here. He was there for 3 years, and actually he resigned from this period because the board refused to sign Dion Dublin for him.
And very much, as we said before on the pod, very closely linked to us. I think we've said this story before. He turns up for his interview, convinced he'll get the job. Brings his boots with him. I think ready to get stuck in the training. I think. I believe that's when we then subsequently went for Burley. I think that's when that happened. I think so.
Yeah,
possibly not.
So Howard Kendall's in charge. And so he did return for 1 more year in the later 90s just for one season to sort of keep them up, I think. But he's apparently, now if people want to check this and comment, he's the last English manager to win a European trophy with an English club, apparently. And that's the 1985 Cup Winners' Cup, which is now, what's that, the equivalent of the Europa Comp?
I guess I don't even know. Yeah, I guess it is. Yeah,
it went
85
European Cup, UEFA Cup Winners' Cup, didn't it? Basically, in order.
That was an Everton side. They beat. I can remember it. They beat Rapid Vienna 3-1. Andy Gray and Sharp. That was a great side. Yeah. They and that's right. Yeah, because that was obviously that coincided with would it have been 85? I think it was 85. That coincided obviously with Heysel, didn't it? And English clubs out of Europe for a good few seasons, 5 seasons, was it? Something like that.
So, yes, apparently he's the last English manager to win a European Cup.
That's a great stat.
Competition with an English club, apparently. The last Englishman to win any European title, apparently, is Bobby Robson with Barcelona.
Wow, yeah. Really?
Apparently. Again,
that's incredible.
I don't know if I've been reading a 22-year out-of-date version of the internet this week, but if someone can think of an English manager,
think who manages the top English clubs?
Yeah, an English manager that's won
English is the English, not British, not British because obviously British you've got obviously Ferguson and stuff.
Sir Alex, yes, exactly.
Sir Alex,
right.
Yeah.
November 92, the number one in the charts, Dave. It'd been there for 10 bloody weeks. It's the only single to have topped the United States, the United Kingdom, and the Australian charts for at least 10 weeks in all of those places.
Clue, male or female?
Female, theme song from a film.
Oh, Whitney Houston? No.
Whitney Houston.
Oh, Saving. No. Not that one, is it? What is it? Yeah. It's Whitney Houston, yeah. What's it called?
I Will Always Love You.
Oh, look, of course it is.
I don't know the name of the song, Dave.
It's from the Bodyguard, isn't it?
Yeah. And do you know which philosopher wrote the song? Come on, Dave, you know this. This is not even Popmaster level 1 question.
What was it say again?
Who wrote I Will Always Love You?
Is it Dolly Parton, isn't it? Yeah.
And people say she's just a
big
pair of... Right, okay. So in terms of the table, it looked a little bit like this. We can very much ignore the top 9 teams and certainly the top 1 team in the table from, November, sorry.
I think you can. Well, looking at that, but we won't mention who is top, but you could see that from the goal difference. That's not sustainable, is it?
No, absolutely. Played 16, a goal difference of 1, having conceded 28 goals.
But that's not sustainable. So we're actually languishing, by comparison, down in 10th, and have got one more better goal difference. So
it's the number of draws, isn't it, Dave? You've mentioned it before about this season. We've played 16 games and got 10 draws.
Craig, we had, I think, I looked at this, we had 3 defeats up to the new year. But just draw. Look at that, look. Next highest is what, 7? Is there an 8, 7? Oh, there's a 9 down below there. But it's a number of draws that killed us, didn't it?
Yeah. And quite just to look at the teams that are above us, you've got Coventry, Queen's Park Rangers, was a decent solid team at the time, weren't they, as well? So
Blackburn, obviously.
Norwich, as we say. An interesting league table at that particular point in time. Cover star of the week. His birthday was last week, as it goes. The scorer of our first 2 Premier League goals.
Gavin Johnson, then.
Gavin Johnson. In another.
So here's the thing, and I was so glad you found this. This is me. The match sponsor, AB Plant Shipping, was it a match? Yeah, match sponsor, was a client of mine, and the very first game I attended at Portman Road corporately. Let me say, corporate. Let me say, corporate. The corporate experience at Portman Road back in October 1992 wasn't what it was today. But I thought, this is this is brilliant. It's superb. Seats in the director's box. Oh, fantastic. I've got to say, my hazy memories of that. But yeah, A.B. Plant, the guy called Andy Bottomley that owned the company, really was a really good friend of mine. So yeah, I used to do a lot of that corporate stuff. So I went a few times with him. But yeah, so that's my memory of that game.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. Right, lineups. Let's have a quick look at the Ipswich lineup. Here we go. A very similar looking team to the team that got promoted. Other than the diminutive Clive Baker was in goal. Go on.
That was an interesting one. So I did so we're doing this game. Did a little bit of research in that game. And Baker got in. I thought, that's hazy. How did he sort of usurp Craig Forrest? Craig Forrest obviously picked up an injury. Craig Forrest's last game was another brilliant game from that season, which who knows, we might cover. We won't cover. Sorry, was going forward. We certainly won't. Well, not this season anyway. Was the 4-2 home win over Leeds? That was Forrest's last game of that season. And as you say, let in the very diminutive Clive Baker, who pretty much was, I think, ever present for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
So I assume, and I can't recall, but that must have been a long-term injury to Forrest.
Yeah, you would have thought so. But and as you've spoken about previously, Gareth Williams, centre midfield. Steve Whitten was back, creating havoc down the right hand side. But it's very much our Division 2 team, other than Williams and Baker, really, isn't it?
It's again, isn't it? Honestly, Williams was, as we touched on before, was about 650,000 big signing for us at the time. Johnson, Dizelle, that Dizelle Kiwamya axis there, and a great understanding, and obviously your man playing on the right there.
Yeah, lovely stuff. Now Everton is an interesting hit, but some really interesting names in this Everton lineup. We spoke about it before we came on air. Peter Beardsley playing for, what a great player Peter Beardsley was. And I did a little bit of research into Peter Beardsley's. Where did Peter Beardsley start? And where did Newcastle? Well, where did he start?
Okay, so Peter Beardsley started at Man U, didn't he?
Well,
was it Carlisle?
It was Carlisle. He played 100 games for Carlisle.
Sorry, Carlisle. Yeah.
Then he went to Vancouver Whitecaps. And then, as you say, signed for Man U, played once for Man U, and that's where Newcastle signed him from. Interesting. You'd have thought, I would have put my house on him being a Wallsend Boys Club kid.
No, not at all.
Straight into Newcastle.
Not at all.
400 games to Newcastle.
He just had that move, that brilliant move, where I've never seen any other player, anyone ever do it, where it was that feint, it was almost a shoulder feint and not quite a step over. Do you know the one? It was a jink. Is perfectly. I've never really seen anyone, and it was a bit like Chris Waddle. He could beat people almost when he was standing still. He wasn't really on the move. He could just drop that was that brilliant move. But what a player! And I know I've seen interviews of Lineker over the years and said, favourite player he's ever played with. Because he said Lineker always made me laugh. He said Beardsley. What I loved about Beardsley, he didn't like being in the box, so he left the penalty box totally free for Lineker. Yeah, brilliant. It's good.
I'm sure he was at one point in time the highest transfer fee, or certainly
I think it's the Liverpool
British transfer fee. When Liverpool signed him from Newcastle.
Him, I think they probably was. And the great, look at that. Just go for that Everton sign. The great and truly great Neville Southall in goal. Who probably for those few, mid 80s onwards. Up probably this coming to the end of his career now. Probably 92 was arguably. Say best in Britain, arguably perhaps best in the world. He's absolutely brilliant, wasn't he? Absolutely brilliant, Neville Southall. Yeah. Gary Ablett, sadly, passed away. He was briefly, while he's with us, was he briefly a coach? Yeah, very, very sad. So who have you got there?
Martin Keown playing
Big Martin. The player
he moved to Arsenal. Actually, sorry, Dave. He moved to Arsenal 3 months later.
Oh, did he?
This game, £2 million moved to Arsenal. In 1993. They used to call him
the Rash, didn't they? The Rash, Martin Keown. I have no recollection of the guy there playing in centre mid. No recollection whatsoever.
No. chap called Kenny. If any Everton fans want to give us the
Everton fans will be all over that. I think that's Graham Barlow. I think it was ex-Oldham, and it's a good front two.
Stuart Barlow.
Sorry, not Graham Barlow. Stuart Barlow. Yes, Graham Barlow was a cricketer. Stuart Barlow. Yeah.
Deirdre Barlow was in Coronation Street.
And talking about diminutive, that's quite a diminutive front two, isn't it? Beardsley and Beardsley.
Yeah, well, we had a similar conversation we had about West Ham, didn't we? They had McAvenny and Cotty and Goddard on the bench, didn't they? But another blast of the past says Alan Harper at right wing back or right back, who would have been in and around the original Howard Kendall.
He was certainly a squad player. Yeah, very much in that squad of sort of, I guess, hardcore squad back in the day of 12 and 13. The other player would have been blonde-haired Kevin Richardson would have been the other player who was just that sort of not first 11, but would come in and do a job. But no, fairly solid. Other than Mr. Kenny and centre mid, but as you say, hopefully we'll get some feedback on him. But yeah, good sort of solid, good, very experienced side. Hinchcliffe had a banger left foot, didn't he, on the left there?
Yeah. Actually, going back to Peter Beardsley very quickly, another bit of trivia I've got here. While at Everton, he became one of only 2 players to have scored for both sides in the Merseyside derby. Dave, the other one?
Oh, stop it.
Ipswich Lynx.
Oh, David Johnson, of course. David Johnson, the first, of course. The
one that scored in the top flight. Yeah, absolutely. In terms of the match itself, as I said, it's a 1-0 victory. Tony Garnett from the East Anglia Daily Times, his match report. I think the headline was Southall thwarts Town, and apparently Geraint Williams took charge of the midfield, an all-action Welshman. He was described as in this match. So quite a nice goal. There's some decent chances and a nice goal in this one, Dave.
Yeah, he had an eye for goal, Gavin Johnson, didn't he? He did have an eye for goal. He scored some good. Obviously, we've spoken about him in the Villa game, scored that first Premier League goal, but he always had an eye for goal. Obviously, perhaps his most remembered one was the header up at Anfield.
Just needed to get his head on it, didn't he?
Crossed that. Anyway, just looking at some notes about this game, watched by our 2 new signings from Sporting Lisbon, Boncho Grenchev and Vlado Bozinovski. Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying
points.
There you go. 17th game in, unbeaten at home, and just 2 defeats up to that point. Yeah. Again, a bit like the season we did previously. A bit of a slide, a fairly dramatic slide. Wasn't really post Christmas. Can you remember? Again, we'll cover these hopefully. With those brilliant games against Man U and Spurs, but that was about it after Christmas till about Easter, wasn't it? And I think we had to beat them. Did we not? Only safe with about 2 or 3 games. Bizarrely, only safe with about 2 or 3 games to go by beating that lot at home. That lot from up the road at home.
Yeah. But so the goal itself was quite a nice goal. It Stockwell cut inside, pinged it into Dazelle, who first time flicks it into space. And as you say, Dave, Gavin Johnson's running in from deep to.
He had a knack for a good and a bit underrated, I think. Perhaps a bit underrated, Gavin Johnson. Just Dazelle quickly. I'm talking about this. Have you read the book?
I have. Yeah. I went and got it signed by him when he was doing the thing at nice. Portman Road in the fan zone and stuff. So I whipped through that in a few days.
I haven't yet. A good read.
Very much so.
Enlightening.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's good. It covers all aspects. Both in football and out of football, and quite a lot post football as well. But so any Town fans that fancy a bit of light reading, Christmas definitely list. Christmas list. And it's definitely something that you can sort of dip in and out of, but also something that you can devour in a good 2 or 3 day stint. If it sort of catches you and you're of that era, then you can demolish it in a couple.
Yeah, of course. I suppose the next one is the Burley book, which is pre-order still, is it at the moment? I think
that's right. Yes, it is. And I did an interview with the author a little while ago. So now you can pre-order that, and it's out in time. Pre-orders in time for Christmas and stuff. So it's another one that you can stick on your Christmas list and hope you can get it in your stocking.
My wife will be so annoyed with me over Christmas and Boxing Day. Oh, right, is it football boxing? It might be football boxing. Yeah,
but it's easy to stick on the list. Just nothing for partners and friends of.
Oh, absolutely, actually, yeah. She's always, I'll never know what to get you. Well, here's
exactly
brilliant.
There's two there on the list already.
Yeah.
So this one finished 1-1. I will briefly get the table up after the event. It's here where nothing much has changed, to be perfectly honest. Norwich have increased their goal difference by virtue of 1 goal. Although, they must have scored. It was 3-2 that match. So just goes to show they carried on their
honestly
previous 16-game form.
Crikey, look! Oh my God! But what they did, they extended their lead to 5 points.
5 points clear. Yes, in November. Yeah. There we go. It didn't last, everyone. Don't worry about it.
No. Don't fret. Don't fret.
Now, similar to what we did for West Ham and Villa, we're going to quickly indulge Dave for a third game from a little further back. We do occasionally let Dave loose as a footnote to these things. August the 30th, 1980. We're going to briefly pop back to Ipswich Town 4, Everton 0. And if it's 1980, Dave, there's only ever going to be one band at number 1 in the charts.
1980 band, 1980s Jam, perhaps.
Correct. It was the Jam.
That would be Start, wouldn't it?
It would be Start. Exclamation mark.
Start! Exclamation mark. Yeah. Again, I think obviously a number 1, bit of an underrated Jam tune. That different, typical Weller, just different around that time. Yeah, brilliant. I just really wanted to do this game just very quickly, just to dwell on, just to really one of the Ipswich goals of the season occurs in this game, and it's the second goal. So that's really why perhaps it's a good game, but why I really wanted to just pick this really.
Okay, all right. We'll have a quick look at the programme. Right, the programme involves BBC Suffolk's charismatic summariser.
What of the time of the day?
No, of now.
Oh, Mick Mill, sorry. Okay.
So
okay.
Yeah. And I think there must be a photo taken from the previous season's game against Everton, the home game against Everton.
That looks like Asa Hartford playing in that. Yeah, Hafney. I don't know what Hafney was, but that yellow kit. Yeah.
Asa Hartford, a famously wholehearted player.
Oh, dearie me. Yes, indeed, he was.
Yes. So in terms of the lineups, we won't do the Ipswich lineup because it's
no. Don't need to do that. It's the
in
lineup.
terms of the Everton line, just a very quick one on the Everton lineup. One thing, there's, as you pointed out as we were discussing which games to put on, Dave, there's a good 15-20 minute highlights package of this game on YouTube. Jerry Harrison. I am bloody sure that the lineup that they put out for Everton with the associated numbers is completely different to the numbers that the players are wearing on their backs. I'm bloody positive of it. Yeah, okay. Yeah. It's all over the shop.
Oh man, yeah.
But in terms of the players themselves, there are some names. Kevin Ratcliffe's name pomps.
Yeah, so we, speaking about the previous, the great Everton teams of the mid '80s. So Ratcliffe was a cornerstone, certainly a cornerstone of that. All the others, I think, by that time, are pretty much, had pretty much moved on. John Gidman, solid right back, went on to play for Man U. And another one of the players that obviously made the jump across the divide of Stanley Park was Steve McMahon, the great Bob Latchford up front. Scored loads of goals. Pretty, your archetypal sort of 70s, early 80s centre forward Bob Latchford. Yeah, good player. Just this game. All I wanted to do really, just the second goal. So this is like the fourth game in. I think we were pretty much top at this stage, early season. And we'd gone 1-0 up. I think Brazil had scored with a header. We'd gone 1-0 up. And Everton, it's quite odd. Everton kick off and immediately kind of lose possession. The ball was pumped forward and Mariner wins the ball, kind of running away towards the right side, up away from the penalty area. Anyway, gets control of the ball and drills this crossing into an area. I'm really trying to pick Walkie up. I don't know. I hope I probably is. Just drills this cross in to the edge of the box, isn't it? And Walk just, how can you describe it? Scissor volleys it in. It's not a bicycle kick as such. It's like a sideways, horizontal. And it is one of the great goals of that season. You can see it on YouTube. And one of the reasons I sort of said, let's just do a little bit on this game was purely for that goal. And it summed up Walk that season. It is just pure class. interesting comments, and I'll just quickly show you this. Just interesting comments in this game. So this Bobby Robson book, his very first book that he wrote, does a brief, and you obviously read it, Craig. He does a brief summary of, because he writes it in the autumn 81, so after the 80-81 season, the great season, and he does a summary of every single game. And this game, he says about, we were great first. We were great for 20 minutes. And then Everton started to get, talk about prophecy, Everton started to get control. I really had I think we'd just come off a 3-1 defeat by Middlesbrough in the League Cup. First leg. In the League Cup, yeah, and he was upset about that one. So he said, I had to get into him a bit about half time. In the end, it was okay. And this is Robson. He said, particularly like McMahon. He said, particularly like McMahon, that 18-year-old right midfielder, would have revealed that, he's going to go places. What a man. And then he subsequently then goes on to say, which is brilliant, he said, some reporters are trying to get me to say we're top now, and after that performance, we'll stay there for the rest of the season. And he said, I hedged my bets. He said, so many things could go wrong. So I decided not to take them up on that. But yeah, just really wanted to mention it for, obviously one for the Jam #1 classic, but yeah, the walk goal was just sensational.
It's quite interesting, actually, you say about the Bobby Robson comments in the book there, because during the course, and this has parallels and mirrors what's going to happen in the Premier League next year, I think, is they're looking to potentially interview managers or coaches at half-time of Premier League matches.
Oh, yes.
And they interview Jerry Harrison, who's commentating, reporting on the game, interviews Bobby Robson as the second half kicking off, and he pretty much mentions exactly that. He goes into real depth.
It's brilliant,
about the tactics.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Steve McMahon marking Eric Gates.
I think in one he said he started to break the midfield up and stuff, didn't he? And said,
and not bothering to, when he hadn't got the ball, then Steve McMahon's attacking, and we've got to sort of track him back and stuff. It's really fascinating.
Really fascinating. The best one of those, and again, I don't know if you've seen it, is the commentary, Jerry Harrison's commentary on the UEFA Cup final first leg at Portman Road, where again, he's obviously interviewing Bobby Robson as he's walking down the touchline to the dugout when Tyson scores. It's a classic. And you go, oh, Bobby, there's another one.
But the technology to be able to do that at the time, you think, well, how's Bobby Robson speaking? I know they used to have a telephone in the dugouts, didn't they? To speak
I honestly
I don't know how they managed to get that.
Yeah, but that's if you look at that, you can certainly see that on YouTube. Yeah, he's interviewing Robson just as they kick off the second half, and just as Tyson scores a second goal that's the UEFA Cup final. This is bizarre, but it is. Yeah. I miss Match of the Week, classic stuff.
But in terms of the game, so it's 4-0. I said the highlights are all on YouTube. What you do see in some of these highlights, and you're saying about Bob Latchford being a 70s, 80s archetypical striker, you see Paul Mariner in full flow in some of those highlights. Just, pace, power.
The lot.
The
final goal's a lovely goal. It's such a delicate, and his skill as well. The final goal is he plays a 1-2 with Murin, and he sort of drops it. He gets a ball wide, and just sort of casual little side football. The ball from Murin's just ridiculous, isn't it? Murin almost gives it a no-look left foot velvet touch, and he's in on goal, isn't he? And slips it in. No, it's good. Like I said, I really wanted to just to describe Walk's goal, which probably must be so many goals that season, up there, top 5 goals of that season, probably.
Brilliant. Wonderful stuff. Right, we're done.
Thanks, mate.
We're out. Thank you, Dave. Did you enjoy that? It's good.
Yeah, brilliant, mate.
Wonderful stuff. Well, thank you everyone for watching or listening. Hope you enjoyed the show. And as I say, the guys will be back on Thursday evening for the pre-match of Everton, and then Sunday night for the flagship as we get stuck into the Toffees. This has been the Rewind Show on Blue Monday and Ipswich Town podcast. We shall see you guys in a bit.